If you thought that all moons in the solar system are like the Earth's moon, that is geologically dead, no atmosphere, no chance of life, you were dead wrong. The moons in the solar system have turned out to be fantastic objects in their own right, and we want to talk a little bit about them, focusing on the four largest moons of Jupiter, which are the Galilean moons. Now, these moons are part of a large system. We have more than 160 moons in our solar system. 7 of them are big enough to be considered planets in their own right. The 7 largest moons in the solar system. The largest one is Ganymede, one of the 4 Galilean moons. Callisto is another Galilean moon. Io and Europa, and we're going to focus on Io and Europa as we talk about these moons. The Earth's moon is also one of the largest of the 7 moons in the solar system. Ganymede and Callisto are both bigger than the planet Mercury. So we can think of these things as similar in many ways to planets. That is, they have geology of their own. Some of them have complex things going on in their interiors. 2 of them, Triton and Titan, have atmospheres, and the atmosphere of Titan is much more impressive atmosphere than for example, Mercury or Mars's atmosphere. So these are real interesting objects in their own right. Let's focus on them by looking at the Galilean moons. And these are the 4 largest moons of Jupiter. This is a typical view that you might have looking at them through a telescope. The Galilean moons are these 4 points of light arrayed in a straight line on either side of Jupiter, and the first person to see them through a telescope was Galileo, who looked in 1610, and he noticed this striking thing. These little dots, he called them stars, move back and forth from hour to hour and night to night. Here's his description from the Sidereal Messenger of what he saw looking in January of 1610 at Jupiter. And here he says 1 star is on the east and 3 minutes from Jupiter, and another one was 11 minutes from Jupiter in the west. That's this one over here. And then he talks about how they moved. And when he first noticed it, this one turned into 2 little stars. And what he thought had happened was that they'd been so close together he couldn't really see them, and they as separate objects, and they came out from being very close. And he noticed that there were 2. Night after night they changed their positions, and this is the kind of thing you'd see. These are different images of Jupiter. Of course, that's Jupiter right here, the real bright object, and the Galilean moons are the points of light next to it, taken from very different telescopes at very different times, but you can see that the kind of arrangement that you see is very different. You don't have to wait for hours to pass or a night to pass to see this. Here's an image taken in October 2010 with the telescope at the Three College Observatory. There's Jupiter, of course, and that's the moon Io right next to it. 23 minutes and 15 seconds later, we can see the same system, and you can see the difference. Io is just about to pass behind the planet, and just to switch back and forth, you can see what I mean. That's 23 minutes to see that. So these are objects that are planets in their own right, not planets, but we can almost think of them as that. And here they are when you don't see them as a point of light, but you get a satellite out there. Take a close image. These are the 4 Galilean moons. Here's Io, the closest one to Jupiter. Europa right here, and those are the 2 that we're going to focus on. Here's Ganymede, and here's Callisto. They couldn't be more different. Look at each one has a different color, strikingly different features on their surfaces, and that doesn't begin to tell us all the differences that exist in these. And this picture is a realistic appraisal of how large these objects are compared to the Great Red Spot of Jupiter. So big enough to be planets, and they ought to be studied in the same way that we study planets.